cool would it be to take a friend to UFC 300? You guys get to hang out with Jocko and then go hang out with Bo Nickel at his post-fight party. Because Jocko Fuel is giving you a chance to do just that. 2 tickets, airfare, and accommodations paid for. Plus, you'll get a VIP escort from Jocko Fuel to show you around Vegas. All you have to do to enter is go to jockofuel.com, make a purchase, or just click on the link below. Jon Jones. So, I gotta tell you, by the way, do I say that funny? Do I say Jon Jones funny? Jon Jones. So does that sound funny? He was making fun of me. He was teasing me that I said that it's like a high voice. Jon Jones. And it's rather funny when he says it because he has a certain delivery and charm. But is it true? Do I squeak out that name, Jon Jones? All right, now, we have been telling Jon, we is the critics. It's the naysayers and the haters. We have been telling Jon from the beginning, stop acting, be yourself. And it was to the point that it bothered Jon. Jon said, hey, I'm not a bad guy. I love Jesus. He said that one time. When people were encouraging him to steer into a certain direction, he said, I can't do it. I can't be the heel. I love Jesus. And he really felt it. And other people that are knowing him going, yep, this is dull. This is boring. This young boy chasing a dream. And, you know, there's something there. The youngest ever champion. Like, there is something there. But it's just a miss. And so many times, Jon, when somebody would say, that's a fake, come out and be yourself, he thought he was being insulted. Because the person the character that he was playing was such a good guy that he thought when people come out and said, hey, be yourself, they meant be yourself, be a bad guy, be the opposite of that. And he's going, hey, what do you think I'm such a jerk for? It's one of these situations, but he wasn't totally right. And the first time that Jon ever got a little taste of the other side, a little taste of what people have been telling him to do from a PR, just from a marketing perspective. Hey, you're so good. Now let's start selling some tickets. First time ever was almost on accident. He was at a press conference. He had served a suspension. And within that suspension was the cocaine test that was positive. And I have to say that because I think a lot of people think that Jon served a suspension for cocaine. I don't believe that's correct. I know that that test came in positive, but I'm not certain he served a suspension for it. I don't think that street drugs were really under the purview, at least at that time, and certainly aren't today. Now it's anything goes within Nevada State Athletic Commission. So I think that you might be remembering that wrong, but I bring it to you because this was Jon's first time back after everything that had gone down. He's at a press conference live, and this thing is packed. And we've had press conferences in front of 80 people. We've had press conferences in front of 8,000 people, and this was closer to the 8,000. It was packed. Daniel Cormier, Jon Jones, one of the hottest feuds. And Jon had made a comment. He didn't want to do it. He wanted to stay away from this. He didn't want anything to do with any of these commissions and tests and any of that side. He's got to sit here and face the music, right? Jon said, well, I haven't done it. I haven't touched anything in 15 months. Whatever the time frame was, but 15 months, sake of the story. And the crowd cheers. They cheered him. 15 months of alleged sobriety. And Daniel takes him. Daniel can't believe it. Daniel said, hey, wait a minute, you're cheering this guy. He said he hadn't taken cocaine in 15 months. I haven't taken it ever in my life. Assuming that he would get the big applause, and the crowd booed him. And there was no one more surprised than Daniel. Daniel's up there getting booed for saying, I've never done this. You all just told him it was great that he hadn't done it in 15 months. I'm letting you know I haven't done it in 35 years. And they booed him. And the only person more surprised than Daniel at that reaction was Jon Jones. And Jon then said, he went right with it. It was the first time ever. Jon's caught off guard, right? I mean, this psychology going through, and I know that Jon's caught off guard because I'm a viewer. I'm caught off guard. None of us saw this coming. The crowd did a turn. I mean, literally, The Rock just went through this. The Rock just went through this identity crisis where generally he is dictating and letting the crowd know, and he knows ahead of time exactly what the crowd's reaction is going to be. For the first time possibly in his career, The Rock got it wrong. Well, the first time in Jon's career, Jon got it wrong. But in a positive way. He thought they were going to hate him and was nervous to go out there. They end up loving him. They loved him. And for the first time, Jon goes with it. And Jon says to Daniel Cormier, yeah, I did all that stuff. I partied nonstop. I was high on cocaine, and I still kicked your ass. And they lost their... And you should have seen Daniel, right? Daniel's smart. He's fast. Daniel's a thinker. Daniel's planned this thing out. Nobody saw that. And I couldn't tell you very many lines from press conferences ever. I might be able to pull one out from over myself. Conor versus Floyd had some good moments. Colby and Leon had the hot spot. But I mean, in all of time, it's hard to pull out something somebody said. I remember that press conference because we were all so surprised. Now, where am I going and what is my point? Well, when we tell Jon, be yourself. Stop pretending. Stop with the Jesus and all the... Be yourself. Be young. Be brash. Be the guy that goes out, stays up late, and still comes in and kicks everybody ass. Be that guy. We saw that guy briefly over the weekend. And it was a spot where Jon was not planning to be filmed. It was a conversation that Jon was not planning to have. And that adds to the organicness. But this adds to the real Jon. And the part that he's always had wrong is when we make the statement, be the real Jon, he thinks we're insulting him. It's not always an insult, right? It's very compelling. Tom Aspinall met the real Jon Jones. So Tom comes up. What happened before this in the context of the pretense, I don't know. The establishing shot of what I saw is they are now face to face. And it's at some type of an event. Somebody's putting on a something. They've both been invited. They come across, and Tom could not have been more of a gentleman. And he seemed happy to meet Jon Jones. To a degree. Right? Tom's got his ego and he's got his pride. He knows this is a future competitor, but Tom's younger. It's as simple as that. There's nothing more on it than that. Tom is younger. When Jon Jones won his first world championship, and that would have been, let's see, if he's 35 now, do the math, but I mean, you're talking about 12 to 13 years ago. Tom is a 7th grader. Tom is an 8th grader. He's a freshman in high school, but it's something like this. So he is looking up to Jon, for sure. Something he probably hasn't told the public and probably doesn't want to tell the public, but he's looked up to Jon. Even if he now has met the master and feels that he's got to kill him, right? It's the oldest martial arts story in the book. Even if that's where we are now, he's still meeting the guy that helped to inspire him all those years ago. And you could see that in Tom. I mean, that was the real Tom. You think Tom looked like a nice guy in that? It turns out Tom's a nice guy. That was the real Tom. And the real Tom shook Jon's hand and took his other hand and put it on Jon. At which point, the real Jon took that hand off and told him, don't put that hand on me. And it was the eyes of Jon Jones. That's what you got to go back and notice. And when I say it was the real Jon, Jon Jones has had a level of success that is difficult to understand. And it's difficult to understand because there's nobody else that you can ask about it. Nobody else has had it. And sometimes a guy will come along 20, 30 years ago, and he'll have written a book by then, or he'll have done a biography. And even if he changes the story, like everybody does that ever writes a book or a biography, you still get a good understanding and a good glimpse. Because Jon is in it and living it right now, record set. He's already set the record for youngest. He might set the record for oldest when he's done. Could you imagine if he did that? Could you imagine if he bookended the youngest champion and the oldest champion ever? It's game over at that point. For who the GOAT was. It is game, and it's not him right now. It is GSP, and I can make that argument. I'll win all of you over. Now, many people would argue Khabib, and you get a back and forth on that. But it is not Jon right now. If he bookends that, and he's on his way to bookend, I mean, but just think about it. So when you have this level of success of Jon, how How does he stay motivated? Why? Why is he pushing through? Why did he take 3 years off out of the prime of his career to get to a different weight class just so he could win a belt there too while taking a much larger risk? Why? And then you saw it. You saw it in that moment. That was the real Jon. You saw it in his eyes in that moment when he reached over and took that hand off. There is something within him, whether we have it or we can hope to bring it out in ourselves. He has it. Muhammad Ali had made a statement one time. It's a very funny quote that sticks around to this day. Muhammad Ali told a guy, if you even dream of beating me, I want you to wake up and apologize. And when you saw Jon take the hand off his shoulder, and Jon told him, don't put your hand on my shoulder, when you saw that, that was the 2024 embodiment of Muhammad Ali saying, if you even dream you can beat me, wake up and apologize. Jon Jones was face to face, not with a threat. Tom was being very nice. Jon was not face to face with a rival or a soon-to-be opponent. It doesn't look like they're going to cross paths. The story goes the way the story's been told. Jon Jones was face to face with a fellow competitor who has seen what he can do and decided that he, being Tom, could do it better. And just like Muhammad Ali said, if you even dream you can beat me, you wake up and apologize. Jon is face to face with a guy, and Jon can't make sense of it. Is this guy crazy? He's seen what I could do since he was a kid, and he thinks he could do it better than me. And you saw that competitor. And that answers so many questions of what drives Jon. What keeps him hungry? What keeps him around? How can he still do it? Why does he still do it? Because he's still that competitor. And where you might see the youngest ever, and maybe he's getting ready to book credit, maybe he's the greatest of all time, and Chael and his GSP and his Khabib argument, and I could trump that with all of those things. Jon doesn't see that. Not yet. But he wants to. And that's what has kept him hungry. And that is why he didn't want that hand on his shoulder. And that was a glimpse at the real Jon Jones.